The East is loading up. The West isn't doing anything. The Edmonton Oilers have entered the chat. Before we talk about yet another trade, think you know which way it's going to go? I very obviously did not. But if I did, I'd head over to Sports Interaction. When the puck drops, Sports Interaction has you covered pregame, live betting on all major sports, including baseball, and prop bets. Want to bet? Head over to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. And download the Sports Interaction app, but only if you're 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Here's the trade straight from Elliot Friedman's Twitter. It's Mattias Ekholm and a 6th round pick going to the Edmonton Oilers. In exchange, the Oilers give the Nashville Predators Tyson Barrie, former first rounder Reid Schaefer, a first rounder in 2023, and a 4th round pick. That is huge for the Edmonton Oilers, immediately addressing a weakness, but it did cost them a part of their roster. This is a very interesting move from Ken Holland because it had been discussed in several places, just in theory, that if the Edmonton Oilers were to go out and get Erik Karlsson, Tyson Barrie would be part of the package going the other way. Not to mention probably the 1st round pick and maybe a guy like Reid Schaefer as well. I'd love to know how many parts of this deal going from Edmonton to Nashville were in the theorized deal going from Edmonton to San Jose for Karlsson. But for a team that can score at will, at absolute will, like the Edmonton Oilers, but struggle so mightily defensively, Mattias Ekholm appears to be exactly what they need. And to add on to that, maybe the strangest salary retention I've ever seen. From Pierre LeBrun, the Nashville Predators will retain 4% of Mattias Ekholm's salary. Now, that sounds pointless until you realize this isn't a deal for a rental player. Mattias Ekholm is under contract this year and for 3 years after. For a player with a cap hit of $6.25 million this season and for the next 3, that's actually kind of significant. Not knowing if the salary retention applies to just the remaining term of the contract or you just take off 4% from all the ensuing years. We're talking about like $200,000 a year in like money, like dollars. It's actually kind of a shrewd thing from Ken Holland, and let's be honest, looking at the Oilers cap situation, it was probably necessary to get this done this year, but it helps them in the future too. Here's the number that matters the most for the Oilers when it comes to Mattias Ekholm. 75, as in 75 career Stanley Cup playoff games in which he has 35 points as a defender. He's pretty steady in terms of his offensive production. He's got 5 goals, 18 points in 57 games, so he's on pace for his usual 25-ish points. He's capable of 30 points. He's done it several times and even once hit a career high of 44 points. Last time Mattias Ekholm was a minus player on the season was the 1920 season, and he was a -1. In the last NHL season Ekholm had as a minus player prior to that was the 2013-2014 season. It doesn't mean everything, but it means something. 6'4", 215 pounds, gritty. He can play both sides if need be, at least according to the mighty Cap Friendly, who it's like, I should just give you associate producer like credits. Mattias Ekholm is exactly what the Oilers need, and I can't tell you how much better they are at defense after this trade. I think it's a decent amount, and I think it's going to help them in the future. But one thing I can tell you for sure, they're going to be an unpleasant team to play against. You're going to be chasing around Connor McDavid all night and Leon Draisaitl. You're going to be getting battered by Zach Hyman and Evander Kane. And if you think you have any reprieve, don't forget that there's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as well. Then you head into the back end, and they got some big boys, man. Vinny Desharnais, Darnell Nurse, Mattias Ekholm now, Evan Bouchard. Honestly, this team is going to live and die by their offense. We know that. Mattias Ekholm does not hurt that. He's maybe not quite as good at it as Tyson Barrie, but I don't think he's going to have any problems passing the puck up to the likes of Evander Kane and Zach Hyman and Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. But he definitely makes them a better defensive team, and therefore they have a better chance at making the playoffs every year that he's there and competing for a Stanley Cup when he's there, especially this year. Remember, even though they got swept, they were in the Final Four. They were in the 3rd round. So, Nashville, What did the Oilers give you? Well, the first round pick this year, you don't know where that's going to be. Probably somewhere between 24th and 32nd if they win the cup. And if you say to yourself, oh, well, I don't want the 32nd overall pick. Well, another piece of this deal, Reid Schaefer, was actually the 32nd overall pick. And he sounds like a pretty appealing prospect. The left winger is only 19 years old, and he's already about the size of Mattias Ekholm. According to Cap Friendly, he is 6'3", 213 pounds. He's currently playing in the WHL, which I'm sure is something that the other players in the WHL cannot wait until it's not a thing anymore. He only had 1 assist for Canada at the World Juniors, but he's got 47 points in 44 WHL games with the Seattle Thunderbirds this season. 23 of those points are goals. I feel obligated to remind you that he was 6'3" when he scored all 23 of those goals. Adding to that, he played 25 WHL playoff. Okay, it's been that kind of day. Adding to that, he played in 25 WHL playoff games last year and he had 21 points. And then, of course, there's Tyson Barrie. I think he's a really fascinating part of this deal because we talked about the Erik Karlsson trade and how Barrie might have been in it. Well, in terms of top power play guys, Barrie is a top power play guy. Karlsson is a top power play guy. It's a good swap of sorts. I'm not saying it's even. I'm just saying they take each other's roles. We know Tyson Barrie is an elite offensive defenseman, elite puck mover on the power play. He's going to put up points every single year. And you put up with his defensive warts, and he does have defensive warts because of how good he is offensively. Here's what's interesting, though, for the Nashville Predators, who appear to be in a rebuild. Congratulations on the Tanner Jeannot trade, by the way. Holy cow! Tyson Barrie makes $4.5 million against the cap for the remainder of this year and next year. What is interesting about next year is that it's $5 million in actual money, except for the fact that Barrie has a $1.25 million signing bonus that is due to him July 1st. Once again, thank you to Cap Friendly. That means that next season, when Tyson Barrie is a pending unrestricted free agent, he will only cost $3.75 million in actual money. If the Nashville Predators want to use Tyson Barrie as a puck mover, as a top offensive defenseman, as a number one power play guy, they can do that. Or they could flip him. They can flip him now. I'm sure a team could use him now. They can flip him in the offseason. They can flip him after they've paid the signing bonus, which will add value. Or they could trade him at next year's deadline where, geez, after the signing bonus and it's like 75% of the way through the year, he'll be practically free for the acquiring team. And we all know that they'll pay through the nose for that. Holy God. How did you get 6 assets for a guy with 5 goals? And you traded him to the team that's probably going to play the Leafs in the first round. Thanks for that. But the biggest part of all this is Mattias Ekholm brings the Edmonton Oilers closer to a Stanley Cup than they were yesterday. I wonder if they're done. He came so close to a Stanley Cup with the Preds in 2017. I wonder if 2023 is his year. So, what do you think about this trade? Leave a comment in the comment box down below. But for now, that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe. If you really liked it, tell all your friends. They're going to trade like Gretzky before the night is over.